Hey guys, if you've tuned into this video, it's because you've decided it's time to update the fabric on your seat cushions, or like in my case, find yourself sinking into the seats and know that it's time to restore them. So follow along and I'll show you how to reupholster your seat cushion or completely replace the damaged seat with entirely new wood and foam. First, you're going to want to go ahead and remove the seat cushion from the chair. There's usually only a few screws holding that in place. And then you're going to carefully go around and remove all the staples holding the dust cover and upholstery fabric in place. Now with the seat cushion stripped down, we can go ahead and examine the construction. You're either going to have a solid panel of plywood or, like in my case, a large cutout with this webbing strung across the opening. The problem with this webbing is that over time it completely stretches out and loses its support, and that's the reason why I'm having issues with my chair, feeling like I just sink right through it. Now you can go ahead and just replace the webbing. It's dirt cheap from your local upholstery shop. Just buy some new webbing, staple it in place. In my case, the plywood is also warping. It's caving in around the edges. So I'm going to have to replace that. And since I'll be doing so, I'm going to go with a solid plywood panel, and I'm going to upgrade to 1/2 inch. What they used on my chair was 3/8 inch. You might find one or the other on your chair. No big difference. The only factor is weight. The thicker wood will add more weight to your chair if you're picking them up and moving them around a lot. That might be a consideration. But as you can tell, the 3/8 inch has warped a bit, so I'm going to go with the thicker and stronger plywood. If you're hung up trying to decide whether to go with the cutout and webbing or a solid panel, really only considerations are a little bit more cushion with the webbing. We'll be using 2-inch high density foam, so both options will be very comfortable and cushiony. I guess the only consideration is if you sit around after dinner for hours sipping wine and playing board games, you may want to have a more couch feel to your chair. And then if you go with the solid panel, you'll definitely have a nice base for firm, proper posture if you like to sit upright and don't want to sink too far into your chair. And as well, longevity. As we can see here, this chair over time, the webbing has stretched out, the plywood has started to warp, especially if you tend to be the kind of person who stands up on your chairs to reach things up high, then a solid platform will last a whole lot longer. Now let's go ahead and get our new seat platform cut out. First, you want to start off with either 1/2 inch or 3/8 inch plywood. I went to the local Home Depot, got a 4x8 sheet cut down into these 4 equal sized 2 feet by 4 feet lengths. If your car is even smaller and you don't have a table saw at home, go ahead and cut them even further down into 8 equal 2x2, 2 feet by 2 feet square pieces, more than big enough to accommodate any dining room chair. So that's it. A 4x8 sheet will allow you to make 8 new seat platforms. I'm going to start by taking the old seat platform, placing it over top the new plywood, and tracing it out. And now for the fun part, cutting around your tracing with the jigsaw. And if you have some sandpaper laying around, a light sanding along the cut edges won't hurt. And before we jump right into reupholstering, let's just take a quick second, make sure that wood we cut is a perfect fit. And it is. All right, now it's time to reupholster. First thing, you Google your local upholstery shop, head on in there. Most will sell you the materials you need to do it yourself. You'll need your foam padding for your seat. They will sell you some cotton batting that wraps over top of the foam. And then lastly, your upholstery fabric, which is pretty straightforward. You pick the one that looks good. They'll sell you the amount you need depending on the size of the furniture you're upholstering. Same goes for this cotton batting, but what gets more complicated is what foam to select. Foam comes in different quality. It also comes in different firmness, which is confusing because they measure the quality by density. And by density, you're thinking, that's the firmness, but no, that's the quality. The quality is how much weight does it take to compress the foam 1 inch? And that's measured in pounds. So a 0.5 to a 1.5 pounds to push in the foam 1 inch is considered low quality. A medium quality is anywhere from 1.5 to 2.5, which is good for a piece of furniture that you're not going to use a whole lot, or like a headboard of your bed that you want to add padding to. But if anything like a dining room chair you're going to sit in a lot, or a couch that you'll sit in a lot, you want higher than 2.5. So luckily, most upholstery shops carry Velva foam. I have here 2 pieces of Velva foam, different firmness, but Velva foam is standard 2.7 in terms of quality. So 2.7 pounds to compress the foam 1 inch, which you're like, well, that's the firmness. But no, it doesn't mean firmness. It means how dense the foam is and how long it'll last. The denser the foam, closer all the particles are together, the longer time it'll take for it to break down. And in terms of firmness, that's measured differently. In terms of firmness, you can get a 35 firm or a 50 firm. I think it goes all the way up to 70, but your normal upholstery shop, they won't carry that. They'll give you the option between 35 and 50. 35 is good for those who will be cutting out their plywood base and using the strapping. It's a softer, more cushiony foam. But if you're going with the solid plywood as your platform, the 50 is what I would recommend. You can sit into it and your bum won't compress right down to the bottom. Hence, you won't feel the plywood platform underneath the cushion. Walk into the upholstery shop with your old cushion. They will cut you a piece to match. And what is this cotton batting used for? What's its purpose, you're asking? Well, it just adds some more plushness, a nicer cushiony look when it's wrapped around the foam padding. It's also smoother and creates a better gliding surface, so when your upholstery fabric is on top of this, there's no chance of it snagging or creasing up against the foam. This foam here tends to have a clingy, sticky texture, whereas this cotton batting is super slippery and much better surface for your upholstery fabric to go over top of. And again, it also just rounds out the corners nicely around your foam that's underneath, gives it a nice puffy look. All right, now that we have our materials, we can get started with upholstering. To do that, tools required are a staple gun, good quality pair of scissors, and some spray adhesive. We're going to spray the foam pad down to the plywood. It'll help keep it in place while we're pulling the fabric around during upholstering. As well, through the life of the cushion, it'll prevent that foam from shifting around on the platform. Now we'll start by spraying a layer of the glue down onto the plywood. Make sure there's good coverage. And then quickly, before the glue dries, we'll swap out, have the foam underneath, where we can then meticulously align the plywood. The cushion should have been measured to be a 1/4 inch larger than the plywood base. So make sure you've got your 1/4 inch all around. Press down the plywood and give it a few minutes to dry. Once the glue is dry, we can lay out our cotton batting, place the cushion over top, and quickly just staple the cotton roughly 1 inch from the edge of the plywood all around, one staple in each side just to tack it in place. And now from the center staple moving outward, we can pull the cotton and add more staples along the edge, about 1 inch from the exterior. Now once the staples have been placed along the edges, stopping short of the corners, we can work on the corners. You grab the center, pull it in, one staple. If you're left with 2 wings, pull that over, fold it nice and tight, one staple. And the same with this side, fold it over, pull it tight, and one staple. Repeat for all 4 corners. Once the staples are in, with your pair of scissors, you can go around and trim off all the excess material. Now that we've got the cotton padding wrapped around the cushion, we can go ahead and lay down our fabric, place the seat cushion upside down over top, and we will repeat the exact same process for stapling the upholstery fabric. We're going to start by tacking the material in place, one staple on each side. Once we've got a staple in on every side, we can work from that center staple out, stapling along the edge, stopping short of the corners. This is our last layer, so this is the one where we will pull nice and taut at every staple. And for the corners, once again, we start by pulling the center, one staple, and then each side. All right, there we go. Doesn't look too bad. Let's trim away the excess material and see how it fits on the chair. The new seat cushion is installed and it fits perfectly. I'm actually pretty impressed with how good it turned out considering this was my first go at it. So an easy DIY for all of you. I just had my first meal in it and it feels amazing. What an improvement. I should have done this a long time ago. So there you have it, an easy DIY from converting your old seat cushions, worn out strapping, to a brand new solid plywood platform with brand new Velva 50 foam. Thanks for watching and good luck with your DIY.